Podcasting is more than just talking. It's listening. BSing with Bob Schmidt.
It's the BS with Bob Schmidt podcast, talking entrepreneurship, marketing, and, of course, business. My guest this week is Cristina, Cain, creator of How to Pitch Yourself, 5 Easy Steps to Getting Yourself Booked on Interviews. Cristina, thanks a lot for joining us this week. Let's talk about getting ourselves out there, getting our name marketed, and making people want to see what it is that we're pitching.
No, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited and passionate to always talk about marketing, so it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much, Bob.
So how do we get ourselves out there? How do we make ourselves more open and more available to our clients?
Absolutely. So this is something, and just to give a little bit of background. So here it is that I was this first-time author. I heard from so many different publishing companies, your book will get so much exposure. We'll be able to do yada, yada, yada. And, they put this great package together, super pricey. And I realized at the end of the day, if you really want your book to be marketed well and to not just sit collecting dust, you have to do your part, right? And they're not as passionate and they're not as proactive as they say they are. So I decided to do it the old-fashioned way. And so what I began to do was use hashtags, right? And so it would connect me on different social media platforms. And so if I were saying anything, it could be about the weather or about my book or about, how people could connect with me for coaching opportunities. No matter what it was that I was sharing, I would always hashtag it either with my book, You Can Hear God, or it would be Chris Cain. And so that's just one of the quickest, easiest ways that you do not post anything on social media without creating your personal hashtag. Not just hashtag marketing, but hashtag, for example, author of, how to travel in 30 days. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, my whole thing is I like to say, be seen, be heard, be you. So would I tag each of those individually or all of them together?
Well, be seen, be heard, be you. All should have a hashtag separate because it's way too long.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I would just do be seen, hashtag be you. Mm-hmm.
And same with the name of the podcast. So BS with Bob or BS with Bob Schmidt.
You know what? I would just do BS with Bob. It's catchy in itself, right? As long as you just remember not to add the Schmidt. So whatever you're going to do, just let it be hashtag BS Bob. You know what I mean? So it's consistent. And no matter who's clicking on it, whether it be on Instagram, for example, or LinkedIn or Facebook, it's always going to link back with you, which is huge. Because if you start using general, which a lot of people are doing in regards to hashtag motivation, well, everyone's doing that. So you're giving your free publicity away to anyone who happened to use the same hashtag.
Now, you mentioned like 4 or 5 different types of social media. Is there certain ones that you need to be on? Because I do Facebook very religiously. I'm on LinkedIn, not so much. I'm on Twitter just when I post a new podcast. You know what?
That's a great question. And so I've heard, so this is where a lot of people get it wrong. And listen, if you're working a 9 to 5 and you're trying to step out as an entrepreneur, right, you just have to be very mindful. At the end of the day, unless you have someone who's totally managing your social media, you're going to drop the ball. And, sporadically posting, to me, is just as harmful as never posting at all. So you want to be consistent. So I've told even my own personal clients, if you're not actively utilizing social media, all 4 of them, posting, morning, mid-afternoon, early evening, then you just don't need to handle that platform. So, for example, I tell and I recommend 2 platforms that you utilize consistently, and you will have amazing results just doing that. Using it for every once in a blue moon will do absolutely nothing for you.
Now, with each of the brands, you're doing that. So I've got Facebook for just Bob Schmidt. Then I've got a BS with Bob Facebook. I own lacrossewisconsin.com, so I have that as a Facebook. Should I be doing each one of these 3 times a day?
Absolutely. Every platform. That's why I say if you have 4 and they're just collecting dust, if they're not really doing anything, then it's more harmful, because there's nothing worse than people seeing that, like if they're even interested in what you have to offer, going on your page and seeing your last post was nearly a week ago or 3 days ago. People, after that happens so often, you'll start to see that the interest will definitely decline, which you can, every site has analytics, and I suggest everyone take a look at who their demographics are, who's tuning into your page, who's not, and then really begin to tailor products according to your analytics. It tells you everything, where your listeners are really tuning in, certain certain states, for example, who follow me. I know exactly where they are. So if I'm ever going to put a conference on, those are the places that I'm going to actively pursue first and foremost.
Now, Cristina, doesn't it seem like you need to have a PhD in order to do some of this stuff? Because, analytics is a word that I never even heard of prior to like 5 or 6 years ago. And some of the other things, the social media platforms that are around right now, we never even heard of 10 years ago,
Very true. And so, it's let's just break it down. So the analytics, some of those, listeners who've never heard of it, it just simply says who's tuning into your page. Is it a certain demographic from 13 to 17? Is it from, early 20-year-olds or maybe, I don't know, the 65 plus age group? So it gives you an idea who's really loving your message. I always tell people this. I said, you're not going to be loved by everyone, but if you can find out who really likes you and enjoys your content, that is half the battle. So just going on and seeing, are they operating out of Alabama? Are your listeners or are they enjoying your content that you're posting in New York? Because then when you start to create product, and everyone should have product, that's where you're going to start your marketing campaigns to those areas. 65 plus in Alabama, because you know that you have a better chance of attracting that crowd based on what you're already posting.
Now, are people going after the posts with meat, or are they going after the sarcastic, funny type of posts? Or should you do a combination of both? Because a friend of mine sent me a picture yesterday, and I ended up posting it on my personal page, and it got shared like 15 times. But if I would have shared it on through one of my business pages, then it would have been shared 15 times, plus I would have gotten more hits on that.
Well, so you just answered your own question. So as you start to pay attention to the social media platforms that you're posting, and you can have an idea of what does well, you'll know what your audience, again, and it can differ. This is what's amazing. I tell people this all the time. You cannot post what you're posting on Facebook and translate that to LinkedIn. People will become highly offended because it's a professional site. You can be a little risque, but you have to do it very classy and very elegant, and know how far you can push, because it's not Facebook, it's a professional site. So you can alter your message according to your media platforms.
What about doing separate types of posts? Can you do businessy things on a Facebook? And then, because that's obviously where we're putting our sarcasm, it's on Facebook, but can you also try to pitch a product when it comes to putting your stuff on Facebook?
Yeah. Yes, Bob, yes, absolutely you can. And so what are people doing nowadays? We're all seeing some of these ads that are tailor-suited to us, right? So let's just say I saw this amazing makeup that I was drawn to, and I click like on it. Well, all of a sudden, Facebook is now, it's almost like they have their sensors as to what you're drawn to, right? Mm-hmm. They're studying our patterns and buying and what we're drawn to. And so at the end of the day, it's the same thing with you. If you have a book that you just wrote and you want to share it, you're going to have an idea based on your analytics who the best crowd would be to advertise that to. And so people are buying, Facebook postings and literally enlarging their audience. So the potential to literally create sales is so there.
Cristina, you mentioned earlier about doing the hashtag. So let's say you just wrote your book, and you've got a post up on LinkedIn, and you've got a sarcastic post on Facebook, and you've got just a quick link on Twitter. Are you tagging each of those with that hashtag?
Absolutely, and this is the difference. So I'll give you a perfect example. So when I'm on Facebook, I am more fun. I'm cutesy Chris. I'm like, listen, let's chat, let's dish a little. That's because it's more personal, and it's not that whole professional attachment to Facebook. So I can be over the top. I can share, funny quotes because people expect that of me. That's my brand. But when I switch it over to LinkedIn, I still have a little bit of that casual, sexy vibe, but it's definitely professionally minded. So it's all about, guess what? I can post a cute selfie, but now the selfie's saying, okay, this is how you can generate, more client awareness or more exposure to your brand. So reach out to, I don't know, Cain and Cain PR, hashtag Cain. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm using the selfie there to generate business on LinkedIn. But on Facebook, I'm still using the same hashtag, but just to have a little bit more fun. You just have to know how to tailor your audience based on what they expect from you. So if I start posting something super serious on Facebook, people won't get it because that's not what they're expecting. It's all about branding and how to create identity branding as well.
Well, here's a weird question then, because you said, you can be kind of sexy on LinkedIn. Now, has the Me Too movement changed any of that thought process when it comes to how sexy you can be when it comes to posting things on a business site?
Well, I'll tell you this because, again, and that's why I shared it has to be classy and it has to be elegant. Because if you post a really attractive headshot, right, or you post yourself doing something really remarkable, maybe you're, I don't know, you're in the Bahamas and you just came from a speaking engagement. Yeah, there's this sexiness. You might have a sunflower dress on and you're posting. That's expected. It's, we have to be mindful, with the whole Me Too movement. But no, at the end of the day, sex sells, and I'm not promoting that, but people are still going to be drawn to that, and people are still utilizing it, both male and female.
Right. I'll tell you what, if you ever see me in a sundress, you better take a lot of pictures because that's going to be the one time, one and done right there. I'm telling you that right. I'm telling you that right now.
Oh, God, Bob.
Hey, you gotta have a little bit of humor in what you do, right? So how do we pitch ourselves? I know that you've got a webinar, How to Pitch Yourself. How do we pitch? How do I take Bob Schmidt and send Bob Schmidt out there to the masses?
Yeah. So listen, we have to be so clever. I see this. Oh my God. Can I vent a bit here? Can I share a little bit of my heart and rant?
Yeah.
Okay. This is one of the worst things. And if you're doing this, I'm getting ready to write a social media etiquette book. And it's so many people were just drawn to it. They're like, Chris, we need that. People get fired for what they post on social media. So there's nothing worse than if I post an amazing posting on LinkedIn, for example, and you have about, 10 people because they see that a lot of people are clicking on it. Then they're going to go and put their website underneath my posting. That is extremely tacky. That's not a way to increase your brand. In fact, it's going to piss people off. You shouldn't do it. You don't go and post your headshot, your picture under someone else's posting. So we just have to be mindful how we utilize it. So for example, even with yourself, as you're sharing, there's a way to build collaboration, build your network. I tell people all the time, make friends before you pitch business. People will connect with you, and all of a sudden they're pitching you on their business. They have no relationship. There are people who will buy from you just because they like you. And I think that's the missing ingredient today. We're pitching without building relationship.
Well, that boils down to everything. I mean, you walk into a grocery store nowadays, people don't say please, people don't say thank you. The people that work there look at you like you're wasting their time by asking them a question.
Exactly.
And
exactly. We're forgetting. Yeah, good point.
It's so bad. That irritates. Customer service has gone to the wayside, and you're right. You need to start building those friendships back up in order to build your brand and to get your stuff out there. I think.
No, it's totally true. I'm telling you right now, there are people who, before they ever even reached out to me to do business with me, they initially said, you know what, there was just something likable about you, or I trusted you. Why? Because I wasn't trying to just literally sell something immediately to someone. I was trying to be helpful. What can I do for you? I tell this to people all the time. When you reach out on social media, you know what? Say something clever. Show that you actually showed some interest in what they were doing. Go to their website. I was on a interview recently, a major interview, and you know what happened, Bob? He says to me, "You're the 88th interview that I've conducted, and you were the only person who actually mentioned any of the projects that I'm engaged with currently." He was shocked. So it showed interest in him. I wasn't just coming on a show. I wanted to also know about the host. And that's what we have to do. It's very important because that's what people are looking for, authenticity. And I'm telling you, once you've earned that, you'll earn clients, simply.
Now, is that something you can learn? Because you and I had conversation a couple of days ago before we set up the interview, and I felt like that was a great conversation, like we had known each other for a long time, because a skill that I think that I have is a skill that I believe that you possess as well, that you make people feel comfortable when you ask questions based on the conversation, where a lot of people, just like that guy that you were talking about the interview, he wasn't used to people doing that. So is this something that we can teach, or is something that can be learned, or is it something that you just kind of have and you're born into?
You know, that's a great question. And so what I do as well is I'm a media coach. So I've landed national television. I help people such as authors, entrepreneurs, speakers who have never had any kind of media interviews, podcasts, blogs. I landed a magazine cover. So I have the ability through our PR boutique to do this for clients that are up and coming, and literally give them a platform to share their services, their products, their brand, what have you. And yes, it is a skill that can be developed. So I tell people all the time, yes, you've landed a podcast or you landed a radio interview. But you know what? That can totally spoil it at the end of the day if you don't know what to do when you arrive there, right?
Oh, absolutely. I've interviewed thousands of people over the course of the last 30 years, and there are people that you ask them a question, deer in a headlight look, and then there's other people you just say hello, and 35 minutes later they're like, and that's how we do it, and you're like, oh wow, thanks.
Exactly. And it is a skill. And so it's, you know what, learning vibes. But this is the thing, you can't be disinterested. It has to be genuine. At the end of the day, we can learn it. One, before you reach out to anyone to pitch, do research. So I'll give you some pointers. Research. You don't connect with somebody if you're an author and your book is on technology with somebody in cosmetics. That's not even the same niche. It's not your target audience. So do research. Pitch people that you would love to connect with. Give compliments. Show that you know something about them, first and foremost. Secondly, learn to get past the gatekeeper, and everyone successful has a gatekeeper. And there are ways to bypass the gatekeeper. You don't want to make them your enemy because you'll never, ever get to the person that you want to talk to. And three, what happens once you actually get past the gatekeeper? I teach this skill. What to do and say and how to maintain the relationships. Do you know how many people land amazing opportunities, but they don't know how to maintain it? They'll never talk to that person again until they need something. Horrible. So these are skills that can be learned, most definitely.
Let's start with number one. How do you get past the gatekeeper? Because you're right. Every person that, well, not every person, but most people that have the power have somebody there that's making sure that not everybody gets through to them. How do we get through to that person?
And this is where the research comes in, and this will show. This makes all the difference. So when I call, you better believe I call as my own publicist. I am tooting my own horn. I'm speaking about my accomplishments, and I'm speaking with authority. When I call, I already know a potential contact name who I'm asking for. Why? Because I researched the contact us. Who about us? Who is the person that is the CEO or is the booking agent, or who's the producer? Once you get that person, you already have your spiel in place. You know what you're going to say. It's not going to be long-winded. It's literally going to be very fast and precise because these people are busy, and you're going to be polite. Thank you. It's a pleasure meeting you. When is best to contact you? Should I wait for you to contact me? As simple as it sounds, makes a difference. People hang up the phone without saying thank you. It's insane to me today. It's crazy.
Why would people do? Why would people do that? You know, the funny thing is, Cristina, when we go out for dinner, we'll go out for dinner. I've got 4 children, and my kids will say please and thank you to. You know, every time that your water gets filled up, and every time that that a waitress or waiter will deliver something, my children say please and thank you. I've watched my kids hold the door open for people when they're walking into like a store or something, and you don't see that all the time nowadays, and it bugs me that we don't. And it kind of goes back to what we talked about before about the whole customer service thing. Maybe we're failing as parents that we're not giving this information to our children.
It's very true, absolutely, and that we're not even developing this even through high school and college and universities. These are life skills. These are people skills that we need to definitely teach on, especially in the day and age we are, especially where it's social media and we're not face-to-face. And, you know, you can have a conversation texting and never have that eye contact. Even when I was on the subway, just going from appointment to appointment, everybody is so engaged in their phone, and I think it's deliberate. It's saying, I don't really want to talk to you. I don't want to be engaged, so let me just look at my phone or listen to my music so I don't have to communicate. And that's sad, but that will also transcend into business, and that's why entrepreneurs fail. They do not understand that you still have to be personable, even though you're using technology.
Right on. So you had mentioned earlier about you are your biggest PR firm, that you're darn right you're going to be talking about yourself. How do you get over that hump of talking about yourself? Because your mom and dad told you and your kids, stop gloating, stop doing this, stop doing that. And so pretty soon you hear that, and I don't want to tell people that I'm good at it. I can help you to do it, and I can help that person over there do it, but I have a hard time getting out of the shell in order to help my own self, to help my own brand.
Well, you know what? That's a great question, and so many people suffer with that. And I used to, I did as well. I mean, we all go through that period where we don't want to seem overly, just like we're braggadocious or that, but at the end of the day, let me tell you something that I have learned. I've learned a lot of skills. And let me say this is very important. I believe in investing myself. So if I have to get a coach and I'm going to pay that coach and she's going to take me to the next level, I'm going to invest in myself. You are not an entrepreneur if you won't even spend money to invest in your skills and talents being further developed. How dare you expect people to invest in you when you won't even do the same for yourself? That speaks volumes about who you are and the skills, that you want to offer your clients. We should be continuously growing. So learning that, Bob, for example, for you, you're an amazing person. I told you that from the first time, and we talked and we had some great conversations, and I gave you, a couple of ideas, right? And this is the thing. At the end of the day, you're doing amazing things. You've interviewed some amazing people. So you need to toot your horn, because guess what? Those people that you've interviewed would never just be on anyone's podcast unless it brought value, unless it was professional. So when you start to say to someone, listen, I am the podcast expert in how to get influential people on your show. You've done it. You would be lying if you said anything other than that. I know how to do it, and I do it well, and I do it with professionalism. So you are the expert. I would go to you because you're confident. If you said, well, I think I can do this, and, I've had some success, I don't even want to hear from you. So we have to be confident in who we are and what product we're pitching.
Where's that line, though, between confidence and cocky, then?
Well, you know what? I can be both. And this is the difference. Anybody who's really an entrepreneur and anyone who's really aggressive can be both. But at the end of the day, it's the person that says, you know what, I was a little over the top today. I need to just relax a bit, because we can be. We're human beings. We can. But at the end of the day, I'll tell you this. There are people who make it happen that are borderline cocky and confident. It's a struggle. It really is a struggle. But, that's a growth process, isn't it? That's like any major athlete that kills it. Tom Brady, for example. I love him. There's some cockiness to him. Come on. He's Tom Brady. Why? Because he produced. He produces. And so at the end of the day, there's humility, but there's a balance to it. I want somebody, if I'm going to spend hard-earned money, I want somebody that I'd rather, honestly, cocky than semi-confident. It's not a bad thing. There's something wrong when we're afraid of a mixture of it. Humility and cockiness is great. It really is. Not everybody agrees, but I think it's awesome.
So when it comes to the first pitch, when it comes to you making that first call, or you finally get through the gatekeeper and you have that chance to talk with, the president of the company, how do you pitch yourself? What's the first thing that you say to, Mr. Fantastic?
I'll tell you exactly why. And I'll give you an example of what a lot of people do when they pitch. So the receptionist answers the phone and is, hi, well, yeah, I was just wondering if I can speak to Mr. Tom Frank. Oh, well, I'm sorry, Mr. Tom Frank's not available. How can I help you? Who am I speaking with? Oh, well, you can hear this, right? They're not prepared.
Right.
They don't know necessarily who they're asking for, and I'll tell you the difference. So when I call, instantly I know that I'm speaking, that I want to connect with Tom Frank. So is Mr. Tom Frank available? Who can I tell him is calling? Absolutely, Cristina Cain. I've reached out to him via email. We've had a couple emails go back and forth. I'd love to speak with him. Now they are more likely to pass me through. Or I sent him some material to look over, and I'm just calling to review that. See the difference? Mm-hmm. I'm already telling them we've had some kind of contact. I need to get through to him for the second time.
Now, are you BSing him, though, on that? Or did you
Not
actually...
At all,
okay, so you actually did send the emails and you did have follow-up, conversation with them.
Yes. Yes, and I can't give away all my secrets, but I will say this. You have to reach out first, and then you have to follow up. This is what I said. It's not an easy... I've landed national TV, magazines, the cover of a magazine. Why? Because of the follow-up. It's the research. It's the actual introduction, sending something via email. You'll find all of this information via someone's website. You really will. Mm-hmm. And then it's when you call, you are confident. So when they're speaking to you, they're not questioning your authority, because if you sound like you have authority, you're going to get through the gatekeeper. It never fails. And if it does, then you just keep moving. A no is always going to produce a yes. I tell that to people. I had about 15 no's before it produced a yes. It's a numbers game.
But most people give up, though. You get 3 no's, and pretty soon it's like, well, the hell with it. I'm not doing this anymore. It frustrates me. I'm going home. I cry into my pillow at night. I can't take another no. Ah.
So watch this, Bob. It's all about perception, right? Because I used to be that girl too. So watch this. Now when I get no's, I laugh because I know the yes is coming. It's perception. How do we change that? Because if we know it's a numbers game, and I've already reached out, and anybody who's in booking, producing, an agent knows this. If they've heard 15 to 20 no's, they know the yes is around the corner. It's impossible. When I pitch my clients to get them on television, radio, podcasting, whatever, at the end of the day, I have pitched about 25 in one day. You cannot tell me it's not going to produce about 3 to 4 replies. It always does, whether it's in the first day or the third day or by the end of the week. But it's a numbers game. So if you stop at 5 or 10, you've done yourself an injustice. You've wasted valuable time and energy you've already inputted, and you're not going to see the results because you refuse to keep going till you get your yes. And when you get that yes, you'll never stop that process because you'll understand it's a game. You have to mentally prepare for the game.
Any luck involved?
Not at all, because at the end of the day, luck implies that you did no research. Luck implies that you just got there. You happen to be sitting at a bar, and this guy that, you know, you wanted to connect with forever just happens to be there, or this woman that you've been no, it's at the end of the day, it's research. Everyone should have about 5 people that they would love to connect with that is totally out of their league. And if you have everyone that's in your circle and you're the smartest one, there's a problem. It's not a joke.
Oh, I know.
Absolutely.
I tell that to my kids. It's like you're the sum of the 5 people you hang out with the most. I mean, that's the rule, you know?
Exactly. Birds of a feather flock together. And that being said, you need to find some eagles. Chickens, listen, you can have a couple chickens around you, that's fine, but you need to connect with some eagles. And eagles, I'll tell you this right now, are not going to connect with people who are not confident. I'm not saying be cocky in a negative way. There's that moment where I'm sure Tom Brady's like, oh my God, I'm scared. If I don't pass this ball at this defining moment, I'm done. I'm sure we all have those moments. But at the end of the day, he's like, listen, I have done this time and time again. The odds are in my favor. So that's why I said there's this confidence, slightly cockiness. That's not a bad thing. At the end of the day, it's researching and trusting in yourself and sounding confident. You do those things, I'm telling you, you're going to see success. It's impossible.
Cristina, you mentioned earlier about the investing in yourself, and you said something about using a coach. How do you know what coach is going to be right for you? How do you know which person is going to be able to help you over that hump in order to get you to that next level of where you need to be?
I'll tell you this. I say this all the time. Your tribe, your vibe attracts your tribe, right? There can be 10 coaches out there who are all doing, something that you would love to be involved in at some level, right? At the end of the day, these are some keys that I look for. So I'll reach out to all 10, for example, right? I look for the person that gets back to me. If they tell me they're going to call me at 9 o'clock and they don't, I'm not using them. They don't value time. There's no way you can coach me and you don't even respect my time. Mm-hmm. These are clues that people really, not only do you want them as a coach, you want to also do some research. You want to investigate if they're worthy of you literally pouring your money into. So it's your tribe. So if you are totally about time management, why would you have someone who doesn't respect your own time? They obviously have an issue with time management. That's not going to be your coach. And then once you get them on the phone, they're going to push you. They're not going to say everything you want to hear. That more than likely, as opposed to the person who's like, "Oh, you're great. We're going to have a great relationship. Everything's going to be hunky dory." I'm more kind of scared of those people. I want the person to say, "You know what? These are the areas we really need to address because this is why you're having a XYZ issue. But I can see the potential in you, and I want to groom you, but it's not going to be easy." That's the coach you're looking for.
Well, if you want the person that's going to tell you, "Hey, you're doing great," call your mom.
Exactly. She'll be the first person to do it. Exactly. You need that fine balance, and you know what? You'll speak their language. You just will. You'll know. You're like, oh my God, I feel like that person could be my friend. You want that in a coach because there's going to be days that you're aggravated and you're pissed off. Things aren't going well, and that person will understand you. They'll know when it's time to be coach or when it's time to be a friend. And that, like I said, it's a rare combination, but you have to do your exercise. You have to kind of do your homework and figure out if that's the relationship you want to invest in. And if you're not investing in yourself, there's an issue.
Now, where's the line, though, between friends and coach? I mean, so let's say that you and I end up talking again and, where's the coach? Where's the friend? Where's the, how do you monetize something like that?
That's brilliant because the minute you pay me, I'm now your coach. It's that simple. Meaning if there's money being transferred, it's coaching now. This is all about me coaching you and getting you where you need to be. And any kind of friendly, kind of fun conversations will not happen during our coaching session. People need to be very careful about that as well. You'll have people who will be your coach, and they'll spend all of that time kind of laughing and joking around. Not when you're paying. Time is money. So we can have that conversation. If I'm having a bad day, then you know what? You can actually call your coach and say, listen, do you mind if I have your ear? And a person that's really invested in you will make time to hear that side. And it has nothing to do with money. That's why I said you have to do your homework and figure out if that's the person that you can see yourself growing and being groomed to the next level with.
Well, I'm going to bring it then another step further then, because I know that in your PR stuff, it says that, doing stuff on a shoestring budget. I'm assuming that coaches aren't a shoestring budget type of item.
Well, yeah, listen, they range from all different levels, right? So you can have someone who's just started out and maybe they're charging, I don't know, maybe $1,200 for, I don't know, let's say 6 coaching sessions, right? And then, you could have somebody who's now at the 5,000 mark and, our businesses should scale. And there's a lot of people who don't know how to scale their business and their products. So, this is where you have to get somebody who's more advanced than you, who can take you through that process and get you where you need to be. And then, will release you to run and just, and they're content and fulfilled as a result of seeing you take off, running.
Cristina, how do you get over the fear? Because I'm guessing that fear holds back most entrepreneurs.
You're absolutely right. I think if you can get past the no's, which was a big thing for me because I used to take the no's personal. I no longer take it. I'm just like, this is just how I think. One of two things. If you tell me no, you're not ready or you want it for me. So anybody that I decide to take on, I'm more of a drill sergeant. I'm not for everyone. I tell that to everybody. If you think that I'm going to coddle and babysit you, I'm not the person. There are people who will do that, but I'm not the coach. That's why we have to spend time getting to know people. I am more interested in results and not excuses. I'm going to push you, but you're going to know that you're loved and you're going to get where you're supposed to be. End of story.
Cristina, what advice would you give to the newbie just starting off?
Get a coach. There's no way. You know why? Because at the end of the day, their past failures and all of their mistakes, why would you, in your right frame of mind, want to go down that route when somebody already has, and now you can just invest in yourself and not have to start at ground zero? That's what a legacy is all about. Why would you want your children to have to start from the ground up when you can produce something so phenomenal that they can just run and excel and generation after generation after generation? Same thing with coaches. A good coach wants to see you surpass them. Why start at the beginning? They have so much valuable insight on how to even pass that lower level. That's what I would do.
Cristina Cain, a publicist, author, coach, and speaker from Cain & Cain Public Relations. Cristina, how do we find you? How do we find out more information about what we've been talking about?
Yeah, thanks, Bob. So, everyone can check me out on Twitter at the Cristina Cain without the H, and also on LinkedIn as well. You can find me there, Cristina Cain, and also at theofficialcains.com. And I'd be more than happy to connect with them and give them awesome insight and valuable tips, and get you guys on some TV and media platforms so that you can further expand your brand.
The BS with Bob Schmidt podcast is brought to you by Orange Computer. Find them online at orangecomputerlax.com. And by Tri-State Sound and Light. Find them online at tristatesound.com. Tell your story with microcasts by podcastforhire.com. The BS with Bob Schmidt podcast is a Podcast for Hire production.